All right, thank you guys so much for coming to today's Friday session. This Friday, we're going to be trying something a little bit different, kind of doing an individual spotlight on some cool employees. So if anyone's interested, I'm hanging out after this. And to kick it off, we'll be starting with Devrie. Okay, well, firstly, thank you, Devrie, for doing this and letting me keep in the hot seat. To kick off, why don't you say your role? Just, I think.
Great. Well, first I have to warn you guys that I love public speaking, but my body doesn't, so I do turn this like atrocious shade of red sometimes. And it's not like a cute blush. You're like, oh, that's easy. It's like, should we call someone? So don't call anyone. We're good. If that happens, then I will end up with an STR.
Okay, so to ask you the first question, tell us a little bit about your journey getting to HoneyBook and some of your past experience.
So I have like the most eclectic resume of anyone I know as far as how I got here. So I started, my first degree was in psychology. It was in counseling psychology and with an emphasis in the psychology of gender. I thought I wanted to be a school counselor. So after I graduated from Cal Poly, go Mustangs, Mustangs for life. Yes, Jack. Music, count on you, man. After I graduated from there, I actually went back to my hometown and was a youth pastor for a hot second, which is like a very fun little blip in my journey. And then I started working as a college and career counselor at a high school, which was awesome. I loved my students all the time, but it was actually kind of like a weirdly toxic work environment and gave me a lot of insight into the job of being a college or being a high school counselor. So then I was like, nope. And then I thought to myself, there's a lot I don't know about the world, and I don't really have access to the tools to know it, so I should just go like get those tools. So I Googled master's degrees that combined history, gender, politics, racism, sexuality, those kinds of things, and came up with like 2 different programs. One was in Ireland and one was in Scotland. And my fish that I'd had for 4 years had just died, and he was like the only attachment I had to being in America. So I was like, thank you, RIP. Emperor Charmander, which was his name, applied to the University of Glasgow in Scotland, got it a week later, and was like, I'm just going to move across the world real quick, get this master's degree. So I went to the University of Scotland. It does look like a castle. It's freaking cool. It's also snowing there right now, and all my friends are like, it's snowing at Hogwarts. And I'm like, no. And got my master's degree in sociology and equality and human rights. Then moved back here and was doing like hodgepodgery and stuff. I was working as a floral designer. I worked as a floral designer pretty consistently for about 6 years, like a side gig always. And then was working with a really cool like fashion blogger slash activist. I'll mention a little bit more later. For a while, and then Romy had worked here and was talking all the time about how cool HoneyBook was, and I had seen like this market increase in her happiness. And was like, wow, so thriving. Why? And she mentioned the company a couple of times, and I was like, I'd really like to get to the Bay Area. I'd like to try something new. Like, I've always wanted to try my hand at sales. My dad's a salesman, so we grew up in the car. He has his own company, but we grew up in the car, like, being on a road trip, and then it would just, like, ring on the Bluetooth, and he'd like, shh, 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 shh. Mark Johnson, how can I help you? And they have no idea that his, like, 3 young children are listening to their call, and we're like, excellent, yes, great. So I grew up, like, around it, thought it might be fun to try. Wanted to like, get into a new place, a new thing. So applied for this position when it got open, did the whole interview process, and moved up in February. And that's how I got here.
Thank you for sharing your exciting and twirly journey to get here.
Yes.
Very twirly. So moving into like more of like a workspace question, what is one aspect of working on the sales team that you'd like to create transparency around? In other words, what's something you'd like everyone to know about?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that me and the rest of the sales team would like to share with you. I did gather some collective knowledge before this. So the first thing is just kind of like we hustle hard, and like everyone knows that about sales, but like we're here every day, we're here in the morning, we're here till night, we're constantly client facing, and we're talking to people all day long. So like we love you, but when we walk in at like 9:01 for the 7x7s, it's not because we're like, oh, 7x7, it's because we're like, hold on just 1 second, Sarah, I'm going to call because this is important. I have a meeting, like running in and out. Those conversations don't just stop, but we try to like do it every weekend. So we're sorry if we're a little bit late or if we have to run out midway for a call. So we're always kind of in the hot seat for that. And we're always available to our members and trialers. And then because of that, because we talk to so many different people from so many different backgrounds, all the time and constantly, we have some really cool insights kind of for the rest of the company, pretty much from any perspective that you're coming from. And those are things that we've been collecting more like quantitatively, but we also like qualitatively have been dealing with that for, as long as we've been dealing with folks. So we are always really keen to elaborate through our collaboration with anyone and everyone. Like we have a lot of feedback and we can give you a lot of information and kind of, even if it comes down to just like, how do you feel about this? Like we've got a pretty good finger on the pulse of our members' thoughts and like where they're at. So that's something that we would really like everyone to like know. And then the other thing that's like really interesting is that we are obviously coming from a sales perspective, but we're also working with a really unique group of people in our member base who are at this sort of like spectacular moment in their personal journeys where they realize like, I have done this well enough that I need help. And that's like a really big moment for them, but it's something that we do like 50 times a day. So we have to always put ourselves back into the perspective of like, this is a big moment for them, and this is a scary thing to invest in. It's not just $40 a month, $20 a month. It's like hours of their time, and it's a gamble, and it's a leap of faith, and they have to like decide, am I going to put everything I own into this software, and then it doesn't work for me, like I'm 4 weeks behind, or so we are with them through this kind of like tenuous moment that's also exciting for them, and we have to be there with them, and not just be like, it's just $20 a month, it's going to improve your life, give us your money. Like that's not our job. And that also means that we sometimes are wearing a lot of hats, right? Like it's not just strictly sales conversations. Sometimes it's tech conversations because we have to answer every question they have before they invest. Sometimes it's support conversations because we need to help them right then and there, and they're with us and they trust us, and we don't want to be like, oh, you're on my phone, I'm like, concierge, like we're with them all the time. So we have to keep kind of that perspective in mind, which makes what we do very varied, and gives us a lot of like kind of like complicated but rewarding moments, but that's like we're not just doing sales all the time. Sales in this job is a really dynamic word to use. I think that's like good for now. Well, thank you for creating some transparency around that. You guys are really hard, so thanks for all your work. What's your favorite kitchen snack? Listen, I am very into cheese, like as an entity, as a food, as a phenomenon. Cheese is where life is at. So those like Gouda baby bells come to mama every morning. I have a Gouda baby bell. There's this card or this game called Red Flags. Has anyone played that game here? None of you have game night, guy. Which is really fun. It's kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but the premise is the person that you are putting cards down for, you're trying to set them up on a blind date. So you put like 2 good things about a person, and then the person next to you tries to ruin it by putting a red flag on your card. And the red flag might be like open mouth kisses their pets, or like talks about them, brings their mom on her first date. Some things like that. And like the good cards might be like, who was on the news for rescuing a kitten, like owns Mars. There's a good card that has a magical bag of cheese with unlimited cheese. And anytime anyone plays it, like almost regardless of the bad card, I'm like, yeah, that's worth it to me. So the Gouda baby bells. This is a fantastic answer. Thank you. Okay, so shifting back to workspace question. Can you walk us through the SDR AE relationship? How do you guys work together, and does it ever get competitive? Yeah, so my job as an SDR is to support all of our AEs essentially. So one of the biggest learnings I've had since taking this position and growing into it is that like hitting quota is not really my goal. Like hitting quota will come as long as I provide adequate support to the team. So my job as an SDR is to vet as many people as possible for the AEs and only create like qualified opportunities for them to talk to people. And so it's really kind of like a support role, which is really fun and interesting. Every single one of our AEs has a very unique personality and style. So you have to be kind of like adaptable and know like this person, if you email them that they need to make this phone call, they're not going to make it. You have to put it on the calendar. This person, if you put it on their calendar, they're like, why do you do that? This person, if you set a task in Salesforce, they're like, sick. This person, they're like, I don't even know if Salesforce has tasks. So you have to kind of like know your people. And So it's kind of like, that's pretty much how it works. I like cover them when they're off or help go through what they need and that kind of thing. It doesn't really get competitive between us and the SDRs and the A's, or it shouldn't be, because it's really kind of like, you're just there to support them.
Great answer. Love the team. Okay, fun question. What is one of your most embarrassing life moments?
I got a story for you guys. Let me bring you back. So in junior high, I was thriving. And by that I mean I was positive that I was thriving. And the people around me were less positive. But I had this like incorrigible sense of self. Like I couldn't care less. You bullied me and I literally was like, something. Like it was incredible. I don't know where I got it. I think I watched a lot of Mulan and was just like, she's a hero, so am I. So during this phase of my life, I was in 7th grade, and I was pretty sure that if you just wore like monochrome colors, even if they like tonally were just off, you still looked great. And this was also during the phase where, do you guys remember those like tissue paper skirts, and they had like 3 levels and were flippy and were usually tie-dyed? Okay, so that's like, picture me. And I was a robust child. I've never been petite, let's call it that. So I'm sitting there like a little potato, and I'm wearing a limited 2 cap sleeve shirt that has like O2 varsity written on it in rhinestones. I'm not on anyone's varsity team, but I'm wearing it. And then I've got this like tissue paper skirt, which has absolutely no structure to it and can't stand up to any sort of challenge. And then at that point in my life, I was like really into not conforming to what anyone my age was doing. I literally called girls with side sweat bangs conformists. That was a thing that I said often. And so I was wearing full-bodied neon teal SpongeBob granny panties underneath my flippy skirt. And then I was wearing these really sick skater shoes called Etnies. Do you guys remember when those were awesome? Yes, shout out to the Etnies. And I had the like sticker version that was $5 more that my grandma bought me that had actual cheetah fuzzy print in the E. So I was like, I wear these every day, and no one can tell me I'm not in those shoes. And so one day I was in my math class, and there was this boy who made eye contact with me across the room. And at the time, obviously I knew that if he made eye contact with me, he'd have a crush on me, like that. So I thought to myself, I should show off that I'm like athletically gifted to this young man while he's looking at me. And at the time, I was standing on the other side of my desk, which the desk had like the one side that was open that you could slide into, and the chair and the table were connected, and the other side was not open. And I was like, perfect, I'll just leave this real quick. So I like give him a saucy look, brace myself, and I try to jump over this chair. But my cheetah print etnies really screwed me over. And they were huge and floppy, and they caught the chair. So instead of jumping over the chair jumped with me, and we flipped. And I flipped into the wall, and then slid down it. Like, imagine if you were to throw a pancake at a wall. That's what happened, with a chair tangled up like in my legs. And I just like scraped down the wall, chair clatters, entire class at this point are all like, woo! And I'm flipped upside down. My tissue paper skirt has migrated to like around my shoulders, and like SpongeBob is on TV. And so I like declutter myself, reflip my desk, get into my seat, pull my skirt down, and like was slightly embarrassed, but I also remember being like, got his attention, what up? And I like look back into the class, and the only person who's still looking at me is this boy who's like, and my poor math teacher was this very awkward man who really liked me, was like, everybody look at me, everyone look at me, look at me. Anyway, we lost touch. It wasn't until years later I got a refollow on Instagram, and now he likes my post. What's up? Okay, so next question. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, how do you leverage your creative background and expertise when talking with potential members? And I'm a professional. So obviously I've been in the floral design world for a long time, and the first company that I worked with was a really high-end florist who did rentals and did like event design and execution as well. So but when I jumped into like multiple different kinds of folks who work in the wedding industry and the creative world. And I think more than anything, how I use that is not to be like, oh, me too. Like, I'm also a florist. Because that can be kind of alienating, right? You're like, and sometimes it becomes really with that because we're like, you're better than me, what do you think? But it's just like a way to empathically listen and be able to identify, like, if they say one word that's like, I'm so busy and like my kids are running around, then you can be like, oh my gosh, I know how hard it is. Like, it's so hard to get time with your kids when like you're also running a business, totally understand. I've actually been there myself, like I know what that looks like. How can I help you? Like, how can I make time for you? Kind of thing. So just as far as like having that perspective is really helpful, and it kind of builds some rapport and trust. And actually, like I really like to see it like when they're like when I call them and their kids are screaming in the background. Part of me is like children, and the other part of me is like I get it, man. Like this is tough. You're wearing so many hats, so it does. I think it makes me better at my job, and I think that it's more helpful for them. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna ask one last question and then open it up to our eager audience. Fun question. If you could take a year off, rent, and expenses paid to pursue a passion project, what would you do? First of all, rent and expenses paid sounds great. So if anyone ever hears of this in real life. But I think that so I'm kind of a jack of all trades sort of person. I have something new that I'm really excited about, like constantly. Um, but I think right now I would pursue screenwriting and producing for a very specific reason. So in social psychology, the only consistent way that scientists can prove over and over again that reduces bias amongst people groups is to expose them to essentially people who fit their bias they have against, and to create valuable connections with those people. And then, of course, that bias disintegrates because they're like, wait, they're not all like that. But you know, people who are afraid of or who hate a certain other type of person, like don't really go out of their way to make those connections, right? And a lot of times when people feel that way about another group of people, obviously they haven't been exposed to them in their community already. So I think that storytelling is a really powerful tool for creating more consciousness and breaking down some of those like systematic oppressions that we see on the individual level. And I think that when you think about like, okay, this person might not go out and make a friend like this, but if you can get them to watch a TV show that has a character that they both fall in love with, then you also kind of got them to go out and make a friend like that. So I think storytelling is really, really powerful, and I think that choosing what stories get told is a really massive responsibility, and I would love to be part of that. Fantastic answer. Thank you for sharing. Audience, I'm gonna open it up to you guys. A lot of hands. Okay, Richard.
All right, so you talked to tons of trailers. Can you share, if any come to mind, some of your favorite and least favorite things to hear from our trailers?
Okay, yes. Okay, yeah, that was a great one. So one of my least favorite things here, because I deal with the trialers who are sometimes like not as highly or not as qualified. Like those ones come across my desk. So when I get a text that's like, I'm the biggest DJ in all of Tampa and I want bookings and can you get me bookings? Yeah, me and Pat had a chat one time that was like, my name, DJ Scotty, biggest DJ all of Tampa. You get me bookings? We were like, are you gonna do this, Pat? So when I get a text back that's like all capital letters, or like one random word wasn't in capitals, so he knew how to use that button. He was just being very liberal with it. So when I'm like, hey, Devrie from Haywood here, like I'm gonna be a personal contact with Travis. Can I send you a 5-minute video? And they're like, what you got for me? How can you book me clients? I'm like, excuse me? Hope you're doing well too, sir. And no, I am not going to book you out of festival, like one person asked me recently. So that's one of the things that I'm like, stop it. The other thing, a couple other things that I'm like, when people are like, I take pictures on my phone and it's really awesome, and I thought maybe I could get into this full time, so I found myself here. It's like, that's awesome for you, and I want to encourage you in that, but also you are not who we can help right now. And then, but you can't just be like, oh, cute, bye. So you have to still like talk to them, right? And that takes up a big portion of my day. And being like, check out our community section, try networking, good luck, like, enjoy your trial, let me know if you have questions. Best things I like to hear from trialers, oh my gosh, like, friggin' sweet nectar honey when you're like, I've just been, my business has been growing and I've got contracts in PDFs that I send over email and it's really hard and I'm collecting payment via check and sometimes over PayPal, but man, I'd love to have everything in one system and my photographer friend says they really love it and I'm so overwhelmed and ready for change right now. And I'm like, oh, bless you. You're a sweet person. You just gave me all the information I need right off the bat and now all I have to do is be nice to you. That's essentially it. So I love hearing that. And I love hearing when people are happy. Like people will be like, this Christmas dinner is the best I've ever had. And I'm like, oh good, I'm trying. So thank you. And they're like, I really love you, but like I think it's gonna be great for me. And I'm like, I wish you well, Wilbur, on your journey to concierge. And that's what I like to hear.
Okay, I saw another hand. Martha.
What is one change you would like to see in the creative?
Question was, what is one change you'd like to see in the creative community?
I would love to see like a collective movement to raise consciousness to value of different kind of people's services. In the creative community, I think that coming from a floral perspective, it's one of the most expensive vendors that people deal with, but it is one of the most important for an event, but in this way that's kind of ethereal and hard to put your finger on. And so florists get a lot of pushback all the time about prices and like, why should I need this? But having floral design at your events like really, really changes the experience for everyone who's come to it, all of your guests, your photographs, your memories forever. And I think that if there were more vendors, like I have a couple friends who are Honeybook members and who have been friends of mine for a long time, who do a really good job of like backing other vendors up and being like, no, their services are worth their value, and they like take photos for them. She's a photographer, she'll like take photos for them and send it to them after the event so that they have professional photos of them doing their job and that kind of thing. I think just like a collective across different kinds of vendors and awareness, just like general awareness of like the day in the life of what it looks like to be you versus somebody else, and then like being able to articulate those things to people who are inquiring with you and having a little bit of backup from other people that they trust would be awesome.
Natalie.
In your 6 years of floral design experience, I'm curious to know what was your most challenging project and why?
Most challenging project. Ooh. Well, okay. Yes. Yeah. So I had one venue. I had one event that was, which one should I say? I had one event that was at a very swanky, like hillside, all glass walls, look at this ocean that you paid me $800 to just look at today place. And so that was the kind of place where like, if there was a fingerprint on the votive that you left on the table, you got an email. So everything you like, I was like placing votive like 30-pound giant candles with like 2 fingers in a dish towel being like, but the archway for that piece was to be specifically created from foraged driftwood and then designed. So we had to collect driftwood, build it into an archway that was pretty and stable, and then add flowers to it, and it was all on-site built. So that takes hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and you only have about 3 to do that install between when you get there, once you get everything to the site, and when your guests up. So that was a hustle, but it looked great. Amazing.
Any other questions? All righty, well, thank you guys for joining us. For
Thanks, Devrie. You know, I get asked that.